Hello, and welcome to day 15 of Dungeon23. Today we will be making an addition onto the gelatinous cube room, just as we did yesterday with the skeletons, although this room is going to be a bit smaller, and is going to have a, not puzzle, but a little bit of a trick. So let's draw out the room. Once we get that done, we'll go to the actual thing in the room. Alright, so here we have the room. It is actually very similar to this room over here in that there are metal bars. Although this one's different. The bars are going to be very close together, so squeezing through isn't really going to be an option. Unless you have, like, you're playing like a fairy or any kind of creature that has like an ability to squeeze through things that are narrow. If you have a familiar, it could obviously get through like a spider or maybe like a mouse, but you yourself are not going to be able to get through. However, there are doors, metal like cage doors that can be lockpicked, and we're going to go put the DC of both of these at is going to be 14. Not a very hard thing to lockpick. And there are two basic ways of getting through. You just go around. Maybe we'll put like a divider here so you have to go through another room. Maybe they go through here, then back around to go through, or come out through a different way up here. It's all going to be very noodly and chaotic. What's important is that you have basically two doors. You could go through here and here. Now, what are we going to put inside of it? My idea is that we're going to put what one would think is a mimic, but actually isn't. It is a very, low level dungeon, so just the illusion of a mimic is going to be pretty fun. So presenting a very poorly drawn treasure chest. What's going to be inside of the treasure chest? Nothing. Well, something will be. The keys to these two doors. Now, the treasure chest is also locked with a DC 14 lock that is shared by these two. You basically get a free treasure chest and the keys to it, and also the keys to here. But you have to pick the lock to get it in the first place. So let's go ahead and write those down. Now, how is this going to help the party? Well, it could help in a lot of ways. For starters, having just a treasure chest or a chest is really useful, because it basically means that if the party finds something valuable or like a lot of valuable things that are just like around, and they don't want some other monster or creature or even adventurer party, if you want to have that, show up and just take it, they could just leave it here in the dungeon and then come back for it later, assuming they don't have the ability to take it out. Like if they're overburdened already, if it is something that's very heavy and suspicious or dangerous, perhaps they want to lock up a goblin and have a prisoner. Or maybe they find like a magic item that they're suspicious of, so they want to keep it locked up. Be any number of things. And on top of that, having this gate here is going to be super useful if you want to like take a rest, because you could basically just lock yourself in here and the monster can't really get in. Probably the haunted armor could probably bust its way through, And maybe we'll put a monster that can get through. Actually, the slithering tracker can get into the cage here. Maybe if the slithering tracker gets triggered and it takes a long time and they lock up in here trying to take a short rest, that get stuck in here and have to deal with the fact that the slithering tracker is in there, and they have to either like fight it in a confined space or like frantically try to unlock the doors. Or it could be something where you trap the haunted armor in here and have to like you can manage to contain him within this locked area. It could be any number of things, and that's what we want to do. We want to just have these kind of vague utilitarian, not necessarily utilitarian, vague non-utilitarian things in the dungeon, whether it be the environment, magic items, mundane tools, other monsters, other creatures in the dungeon that the party could use to their advantage and kind of like play off of. Sure, it's good to have just like some random things that are just made for combat and fighting and exploration, but they should always be treated as a tool that could be used later. The dungeon, it's not just the challenge, but it's also the solution to the challenge. It just needs the party to use their own resources and their own like ingenuity to use the dungeon to its fullest capacity. And that's a bit thematic. The idea of taking this madhouse dungeon that was designed by a crazy wizard just to screw with people and turn it into this very effective utilitarian thing is quite interesting. And I think it really does capture the feel of OSR. The idea of like using absolutely everything you have and taking nothing for granted, taking nothing for granted. Well, that was day 15. Thanks for watching. Like if you'd like to. If you have any suggestions for future rooms, you could go ahead and leave them, although I may or may not get to them. Subscribe if you want to see more OSR style content. I'm going to keep making these videos. And I apologize for the poor quality, because it's not going to improve.